is like is that for about 30 years, the government and the medical community pushed really, really hard for something called the food pyramid. And the Association for Diabetes, for example, just jam it down your throat, and all insurance companies and so on. Even though there was lots of evidence, good studies that showed that the whole thing was a serious, serious mistake, that getting 70% of your calories from carbs actually had two most likely effects: to make you fat and to make you diabetic. And finally, they gave it up when it was impossible. Eggs you were not supposed to eat, and the study on eggs was absolutely a miserable study, really bad science, and better scientific studies were done, and it's still the scientific community, the medical scientific community, forced this view on us. It was based on authority, not on evidence. And another one, the one that you won't like, is this. When you hear about climate change, and then you want to find out more about it, what is it that you are told? Are you given the actual reasons? No. You are told this: 98% of scientists agree. That's sheer authority. Sheer authority. Now, what happens when those computer programs, models predict that the temperature per increase per decade is going to be 0.21 degrees Celsius, which means in 50 years the temperature will go up 1 degree. And it turns out, not as conservatives measuring blocks, but as the top journals in the world have said time and again, very worried, the actual increase in temperature per decade is 0.04 degrees Celsius. That means the error is a factor of 5. When in quantum physics, you have to be correct within 11 decimal points. When I was a freshman in taking chemistry in college, my answers had to be correct within 4 decimal points. This has an error of 5 within the principle. But if you don't agree with the authority of the 98%, you're a fact denier. So authority is abused. It's used in science all the time, and we are living through it right now.
Okay, we'll take this as an example on the authority in science. We won't dwell into the example because that's a whole different conference. Dr. Imam, you have a comment? Yes.
I think that the assumption that religion is also based on authority is debatable. When it comes to Islamic idea of contextual justice and fiqh being situational and changing everything because of the change of times and change of society, then that is a fact. The Sharia or the constantly evolves in that particular sense. But I think just one more thing about understanding religion and Islamic theology. It's all about paradox, and I think the Quranic text is smart enough to put out there much vagueness and ambiguity, so that many smart people can make sense of the text. It doesn't spell out everything, and I think it would be insulting to our intelligence if the Quran had to spell out everything. So in some verses of the Quran that Allah speaks about 50,000 years of your calculation, or 1,000 years of your calculation. So it doesn't actually give a specific period of what the day is and what time is, and just weaving that ambiguity. But the beautiful thing is also Islam is against a type of literalism when Islam says about there are muhkamat versus muhkamat wa minhum mutashabihat, and some of them are deliberately ambiguous. When God speaks of laysa kamithli shay wa huwa sami'ul basir, nothing, there's an incomparability of God, and immediately mentions about sight and about hearing. So I think that is, we cannot appreciate religion if we don't appreciate ambiguity and paradox and many of those other issues.
We're going to take the last question, and we promise we're going to extend the break. And here's the last question, and then everyone on the panel can say final word.
I would like to say the biggest controversy, the biggest contradictory thing between Islam, or actually in most of the religions, is that you have to believe in first and then try to understand. And in science, you have to understand it first and then believe in it. So that's the biggest difference to begin with. And that's why we can find some traces of science and different things up there, but they're not based on science. They're speculations, they're observations. But Islam came at the very end. It's the last, probably the last religion up to now. It came at the age of science, you know. So it has some of the things that can be explained, but you have to believe in first. If you try to explain, if you try to ask a question, you're no more a Muslim. So that's the major reason why they cannot coexist, Islam and science.
Thank you. We'll take a final comment from each one of the panel, please, 1 minute each.
I think for some of you who missed the first session when we talked about what is science and what science is not, and when we talked about how the idea that science is mainly based on observations and that observation constitutes our theories, and actually, you know, probably, hopefully you can be able to listen to it. It's actually a bit simplistic. There are a lot of times when people presented theories in science not based on any sense or experiments, but actually, you know, just based, like as I said, like Galileo when he presented the tower experiment. There are many examples in science where theories come first and, you know, later have been validated. So science does not work in the same way we think it does. And I think Dr. Manovar maybe can talk about it more. Also about the scientific authority thing, less than 20 years ago, people who were saying that there's plasticity in the brain, that actually our brain continue to grow even beyond certain time period, they were actually kicked out of conferences, scientific conferences, because scientific authority at that time said it's absolute no way that brain will grow or will adapt after a certain time. And there were other times when, you know, like journals, you know, if you send something to a journal and the scientific journal, and if you don't agree with the paradigm that a scientific authority believes in, you're not going to get published. And I agree with Dr. Manovar. There's even examples in climate change and other areas. So I think authority can be very bad both ways, not religious, but also in science.
Yeah, I think we feel that religion and revelation is supra-rational. So that's the position we come from, and I think we also love multivocality. Kathra fil wahda and al-wahda fil kathra. That there's always unity in multiplicity, multiplicity in unity. And so I think scientists and physicians, whoever they are, the more they embrace type of multiplicity, this Islamic pluralism of ideas, and it would be very useful. I'm thinking especially of brain stem death and the other form of understanding brain death. And the Japanese, for all their life, they just took the one position. But here in America, everyone pretended there was only one opinion on when the person is really dead. So we must be honest about that type of diversity, if it does exist, and also honest about our own limitations and our own weaknesses when it comes to religion, when it comes to science. But the religion does have certain questions that it answers.